this platform.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome everybody to Witch Bitch, where we talk the real tea. Um, Today we're going to be talking about following your intuition, and I don't know. I feel like, and every time I talk with you, Tracy, on the podcast, off the podcast, I just feel such like uh, like you're this wise auntie that always gives me the most beautiful advice, and I feel very connected because also obviously you're my mum and you taught me and raised me to follow my intuition as well. So I just thought it was a beautiful trio to talk
Yes.
about this topic. And I was just saying before we went live that I've been feeling like when you don't follow your intuition at the moment with all the energies going on, it leads you to the most complicated route, which I guess in life it kind of already does. But I just feel like it's very heightened at the moment, where it's just been really important to follow your inner guidance and trust yourself over the external world and what other people are telling you to do. Um, so yeah, yeah.
What do
For
you think
sure.
about that,
Yeah.
Tracy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that Juliet at your tender age. My guides were shouting at me at your age. So I love that you're listening to your intuition. And yeah, absolutely. It's if you're getting those nudges or those feelings and there's so much change and everything going on, yeah, follow it. If you don't, it's going to come in another way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Mm,
Mm.
absolutely.
yeah. And I've been really feeling the energy squeezing me recently, um, and it's like I feel like sometimes I'm on a roller coaster ride with them because
Mm.
there will be times when things are feeling cruisy, and then for a few days I'll be like, what's like? It's like the energy is like buzzing in me, and when that happens, when I have those feelings of it, it's almost like an anxiety in a way. But I know it's not coming from me because it happens randomly when there's nothing to be anxious about. And what I'm finding is that when I slow down and allow the feelings to flow, and I mean, that's kind of like my intuition telling me, Claudia, slow down now, because it feels so fast and buzzy that it's like the only way I can cope with it is to actually slow down, like mentally and physically slow down and
Well,
breathe
otherwise you're running,
and
aren't
not
you?
do too much.
Yeah. Otherwise you're running on a energetic level, on a mental, on a physical, on a spiritual level, and you're kind of running from what it is that your guides, your
Yeah,
ascending masters and ancestors are trying to share with you for that next step forward. And if you're not listening, then you're running. So if you can come back and just sort of be present in it, yeah. Otherwise they kind of squeeze you, and then they go, and off you go.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I used to freak out because this energy that I'm talking about, which comes and goes like a roller
Mm.
coaster,
Mm.
has been happening now for about 6 months. And I've realized that if I don't listen to it, if I'm not slowing down and allowing the feelings to come and I'm blocking them out, they just get worse.
Mm.
It just feels worse to me. So, yeah, that's what I do now. I just
Do you
allow
feel
it.
it in a certain part of your body, or is it all over, or like is it a gut
It's
feeling?
kind of, it's like a bubble around me. It's like a force field almost, and I feel it in my upper half, so from my heart chakra up, and it and it's the feeling has changed slightly over time, and the duration of when it stays is getting shorter as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's like you're exercising
Yeah. When it first started, it lasted probably about 2 or 3 weeks,
Oh wow.
and now it's only a couple of days I'm feeling, and I kind of like, yeah, okay, here it is again. Um, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I ask it things, and even though it kind of freaks me out, I'm still kind of, yeah, I'm still asking it questions.
Mm. That's actually very interesting
Yeah.
that that's how your intuition comes. Because to me, it's very different to that. I either feel like it's a voice that tells me things. Like sometimes I feel like an actual insane person because I'll have genuine voices in
Then
my
it's
head.
normal.
Yeah, like I'll have genuine voices in my head.
Yeah.
And there's times when I'm by myself. Oh my god, like
You
yesterday.
have conversations.
And I have conversations out loud because I'm alone. So like I don't, care. And I'm literally talking, having a conversation with myself as two different people. And there's times where I feel like I'm insane. And when I'm talking, or like the voices in my head, one is usually my ego, and then one is my intuition. That's usually how it is. And they're arguing or bickering, and I'm lucky because, a couple of years back, or at the start of my awakening, they would be arguing, but now I've gotten to a place where it's more of a debate than an argument. It's more of a heated discussion.
It's like, it's beautiful that we all experience it differently, because I still have that, and I have the squeezing feeling as well.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So you were saying before that you had your guides yelling at you, Tracy. Was there any other sensations that you experienced?
Or experience still?
Yeah, that knowing. That sometimes it's just this, sometimes it's in my gut, sometimes it's just this all over knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a little chuckle with my guides that they can just talk to me now without having to yell, which is great for all of us.
How long did that take you to get that that little, I don't know, relationship with your guides? From when they stopped
A lot longer than they would have liked.
Yeah.
It's been something I've been working on for quite. So when I decided to be fully authentic and stop running, because for me as a child being a seer, having trauma on top, and then being told, if I told people that what I could see, I'd end up in a mental institution, because that was the story in our family. Then, so if I hear stuff, I just don't want to hear it, don't want to hear it. So I really actually just did some work around this and really shut down my left side, the little girl part of me that was receiving a lot as well. And I took on this very strong, I allowed it to come through more on the right side. And I guess that was just a safety thing rather than the wholeness. This is me just unpacking this as I'm talking. So sometimes I'd hear this booming voice, and that was because I wasn't listening. So when I decided to start, I started having conversations, as you say, Juliet. Started having conversations with them, and I think I'd already for a long time anyway, but really conscious conversations with them. I remember my daughter saying to me one day, "Mum, you look like a mad woman," because I was walking around the garden and I'm talking, and then I'm answering myself, and then I'm talking away, and she was watching me from the bedroom, going, "Mum, you look like a crazy lady." We live in the country, eh, Mum? Anyway, so what I yeah, having a great old time. I answer myself. I answer really well. Like what came through. It wasn't me, but it was coming out my mouth. What I did was I said to my guides, okay, because I wasn't trusting the intuition because of, you know, the lifetime of mistrust. So what was coming through, I was like, oh, something would happen and they'd be like, go and tell that lady, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, I'm not saying anything. I remember being at a thing and seeing this young child sitting next to a man. And she had told me she drowned and that she wanted me to tell her father that she was okay. And I'm like, honey, I'm not doing that. I've never met your father. There's this poor guy sitting across the other side of the room. I'm not going to do that to him. So I really held that in. And so when I did step on, I said to my guides, okay, right, I want you to make sure that I'm a really clear channel. Help me figure this out, that I'm a really clear channel, and that you can be the filters so that anything that is for me to share or is for me to know, that you'll tell me 3 times. And when I've heard it, if I've heard it 3 times, if I haven't listened the first time and you've had to tell me 3 times, then I'll know for sure. So, so we set that into action, and then I didn't listen. Had a little experience where I didn't listen. They were telling me to move my car, and I was like, no, I don't need to move my car. Move your car. I don't need to move it. They did it 3 times. And the third time I was like, I'm in the shop, and I'm like, leave me alone. Stop telling me that. Looking like a mad woman. Got back to my car and there was a fine on my car. I was like, oh, damn it. And they were like, well, if you'd listened to us, you wouldn't have got the fine. Because it like literally was happening at that time. And I was like, oh yeah. They said, you're the one who put this practice, you know, you set down the rules and you didn't listen to them. It's like, oh, so that was my initiation to myself in trusting. A little bit painful in the wallet, but a really good reminder that that they were there to support me and to let me know. So it's just become an evolving thing, and now they only have to tell me once usually, unless I'm totally engrossed in something else. But it's recognizing their voices and or the feel come with it more so, because sometimes it can be a softer voice and sometimes it's a powerful voice.
Yeah. I had, you're just reminding me of something that happened to me day before yesterday. I picked up a packet of food and it was questionable. The energy that was coming off this packet of food was questionable, and I didn't know why I had this feeling of putting it in the bin. I had a feeling, put that in the bin, and I didn't listen to it. Sometimes I talk myself out of things. It's like, oh no, it'll be all right. Just put it to the side. It'll be fine. Yeah. Well, I wish I'd listened to it because
That's the food thing.
yeah, my son ate that food and now he has food poisoning.
Oh.
And it was still in day. Everything was fine about it. It was just the energy I could feel around this food was just get rid of it. And I didn't listen.
Yeah. So then that's really good to put in some other steps. Okay, so do some muscle testing. Do you know how to muscle test? Do you know how to do that when you stand up? Well, you can do it. There's a couple of different ways. I mean, there's the pressure one, but I do this in the supermarket sometimes. So I check in with myself. I stand really straight, close my eyes, and I say, "Show me a yes." And generally, for me, it's a movement forward. Show me a no, and it's movement back. Some people get side to side, different thing. So you can say, "Is this food safe for me to consume?" Well, you could walk around with a pendulum. Yep, you might get knocked over.
You
or
are the
something.
pendulum when you ask that. It's like, yeah, that's cool.
And it's really easy because you don't have to walk, you don't have to take anything else, but it could be, you know, does my body need this right now? Oh, yep. And it's not necessarily that you should never eat this or never drink that, but it could be that in this moment it's not. Yeah. And just trust that first one, because you can talk yourself out of that one as well. Done that too.
Why do we do that?
Yeah.
Because we know, on some level we know that it's not good for us, or that, you know, like I knew I should be putting that poo in the bin.
I
No.
think you know why what I find riveting with how sometimes you listen to it, sometimes you don't. And for me, it's because my ego disguises itself as intuition a lot
Yeah,
of the
right.
time. My ego, we were talking with Tracy the other week, and she says this a lot in our on our podcast that the ego can disguise itself as intuition, because it's smart, and it's happened to me a lot where um, my ego has come up as the voice of intuition, and I've listened to it, and it's like, whoa, that was shit. You know, like don't want to do that again. Um, and I think sometimes, I mean, I'm getting a lot better at distinguishing between the two because you can still kind of feel it.
There's a slightly different energy with it, eh?
Yeah, definitely. You can kind of, when you take a second and you take a breath, you can feel basically what the intention is behind the voice. If you, like, for example, my ego might come up as intuition and say, oh, why don't you go into that pub and see the pub and buy a beer just for the experience of it, but I don't want to do that. And then it will say, because I know this is a weird example, but it's just what came to me. It's like, I don't want to go into the pub, but then the voice will be like, no, but you're only here for, you know, you don't know when you're going to be here again, just experience this. And it's actually like not a very egoic voice. But then I'm like, but I don't want to go, so why are you telling me to do it? My intuition usually, I mean, maybe it would still nag me, but I don't know, not in this way. It's like, I don't want to.
So it's like a needy voice.
Yeah, it's like a needy voice, like attachment. I feel attachment to things when my ego comes up. So yeah, I think that's why I have distrust sometimes when it comes to my intuition about weird things like that, because it's like it's in date, like,
Yeah.
you know.
It's kind of like, oh, it's like a fly, you know, like it was like, what are you talking about? It's fine. Like it's in date. Like go away. It's fine. You know, that's kind of like this argument that I'm having with myself. It's all in an instant, and it's all through feelings. It's not necessarily words in my head. I'm not going through a story. It's like a split second of all of this all happening at the same time, and and I'm articulating it now to you guys in words, but when it's happening, it's all done through feelings. Yeah. So weird. So weird. And I'm like, you know, I'm only just now, because I know, growing up, I know what intuition is. I never dabbled in it. I never really paid attention to it until recently. And it's getting louder. Like for me, my intuition is a lot louder than it used to be. The more I hear it, and the more I listen to it, and the more I wonder about it and ask questions, the more I'm learning about feeling that's associated with my intuition and the feeling that's associated with my ego. And it's this journey, it's like nothing I've ever experienced before.
Yeah. I think, have you watched Harry Potter, Tracy?
Yes, love Harry Potter.
Yes, and you've watched it?
Yes.
So you know in the last couple of movies, there's the room of requirement, and it's like filled with all this junk. Basically, it's like filled with all the unwanted things of Hogwarts. I feel like when we go through life, our lives start to come like that room, like random clutter, a lot of mess. You can't really walk through it very easily. And when we're trying to communicate with our intuition, it's like kind of trying to communicate in that room. There's all that static, all the clutter interfering, and you can't really find. I mean, if we're even just going to talk about the saying of following your intuition, you can't really follow it when you're in a cluttered room because you're in all this stuff is in the way.
Yeah.
But as you walk down a spiritual path or your divine path, clutter seems to disintegrate
Yeah.
and move and leave, and it leaves space for you to communicate with your intuition. It leaves literally space to hear the sound waves properly from, you know, the voice, and it clears up a path where you can directly move to your intuition. And for me, you declutter. I declutter by um, journaling, by meditating, by doing oracle card readings. Because oracle card readings, I feel like oracle card readings are one of the best ways to grow your intuition because it allows you to trust. Because you're the one pulling the cards, you're the one who's feeling drawn to that card, and then when you pull the card, it's like, oh my god, that's crazy. That's exactly what I need to hear. That's, you know, so spot on. So I feel like oracle cards or tarot is a really good way to grow your intuition because it builds trust. And it's like, I pulled that card and it's exactly what I needed to hear. So I don't know, that vision just came to me when you were talking.
No, it's so true, and I think it's like being in a room full of boxes and you're just choosing. Okay, that box is. I don't need that box anymore.
Yeah.
We collect them over the years because we think we need that
Because we're hoarders.
Yeah,
We're mental hoarders.
yeah. We think we need it to assist us, like beliefs, you know, processes, things that are given to us from the outside world, or we pick up from the outside world, like because there can be both energies involved. And then over time, when you journey back into yourself, and you, like you were saying, the spiritual journey, and I think of the spiritual journey as journeying back to you, and those boxes end up falling away because you no longer need them, because you're getting what you need from yourself. And the more you rely on your own feelings and your own body, because I get feelings in my body. It's like my body is my compass in a way.
Yeah.
And then I don't need the boxes anymore. I don't need the limiting beliefs. I don't need the decisions that I've made, or the, you know, whatever society is telling me is the right thing to do, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And that's why I think my intuition is starting. I'm having a relationship with it now because I can hear it and I can recognize it. But I still don't listen. That's the part that kills me, because I can hear it and I know it's telling me something, but I don't.
So what part of you is resisting receiving the guidance? What part of you is it? The little Claudia? Is it a fractured part? Or because I'm actually doing a piece of work tomorrow on a conference online around calling back the parts of us that are missing, because there's so many fragmented parts of us at times through different experiences, and it can be what we think is little, but it's actually a part of us has gone frozen in that time.
Yeah.
And when your limbic system isn't online 100% in your brain, then you actually can't access feeling. A lot of people don't fully access the feelings in their body. Like I work with someone and they go, I just don't feel. There's nothing, like I don't feel anything in my tummy. Or so great that you're feeling, but also when you can be feeling but you're not accessing, or you're not allowing yourself to receive it,
Yeah, that's
to go forward. Hey, so what part of you is
yeah,
doing that?
when it comes in, I'm finding the more random something is, this feeling of knowing in my body, it's like a wiseness in me. It's almost like the teenager is saying, stomping the foot and saying, get out of here. I'm not going to do what you say. I'm doing what I want to do. Yeah, it's that. It's that feeling of a teenager of bugger off. I'm gonna decide for myself.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So there's something in there, in that time of my life, where maybe someone was looking out for me and tried to help me, and I was feeling overwhelmed by it, or they were interfering, or some kind of feeling of a garage door coming down and going just flat out, no, I'm not listening to you.
Is it authority though? You know, does it feel like an authority thing?
No, authority feels completely different to me.
Yep.
Authority is kind of like an arrow, and it's unstoppable. When I feel authority, that's what I feel like. I feel like it's almost a little bit dangerous.
Okay.
And so a little bit of fear can come up for me. But this is different. This is like I think it's a caring voice, or it's a voice that's saying a navigation voice, you know. And and it's telling me to go somewhere, and I'm feeling maybe like, oh, you're trying to impede on my freedom of choice. Or
did you have an experience when you were, and this is not a therapy session, it's just me asking.
No.
Did you have an experience when you were a teenager when you felt like you were on the right track and doing something, and then you doubted it or trusted it?
Interesting question.
Something to ponder over anyway. Yeah.
I mean, my initial thought was at school, I went to a Catholic school, and and it was really strict dress code, and it was a convent school. We were taught by nuns. And there was always a desire deep down somewhere of breaking out of that good girl kind of cookie cutter thing that I was pushed into. You know, girl, like the message was, you have to be nice, you have to be a good girl to get what you want out of life. And there was like, maybe that was the suppressed part of me. It was like,
Did any of your ancestors have struggles when they were teenagers?
I wouldn't know because I'm adopted.
How old was your mother when she had you?
She was 18.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was so shocked, and then I was like, oh no, I didn't know that. I don't know why. So
Just like you heard it for the first time.
So she was a bit of a rebel teenager too then, hey?
I think maybe that's where it's coming from, because she made the same mistake a few times. I wasn't her only child.
Were you her first?
No. Yeah, I think there was one before me, and he was adopted out, and then there was me, and I think there was one after me as well, but that child didn't survive. And then I remember her, because I met my birth mother, I remember her words to me were, at that point, I thought I'd better get married because this is getting out of control. And then she had 2 boys to her husband, and then she left her husband because he was not a very nice person to be in a relationship with, and she had another child out of wedlock after that as well.
So we're talking about intuition. It sounds like she had, and you're talking about, that it comes up in that teenage feeling, and if there's not something that you can pinpoint yourself, then it's quite likely it's going to come through the ancestral line, and it I'm getting this, feels very strongly that maybe there's that stuff that mum never resolved.
Yeah, I agree with you. That feels right to me. It's like, because sometimes when it happens, it feels like it's so strong. It's not really coming from me.
Yeah,
It's like an automatic response,
yeah,
and it's like a trigger. It happens. I'm feeling it in my body now. I'm feeling like the feeling of when it happens in my body, and comes so easily, and it comes so cleanly that I don't even think about it. It just happens. It's like, no, not doing that. I'll take the reins, thank you, and I'll make the decision for myself.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's when the shit hits the fan, and things like my son getting sick happens. It's like you think I would learn to listen to it, but then in the moment when it's happening, it's that feeling comes again, and it's like, no, I'm going to decide.
Yeah.
So interesting, Tracy. Like, I'd never unpacked that before. I think, yeah, that's huge for me.
Yeah. And you know,
Now
because
that
what
I'm
was behind her? What was behind your biological mother? What was her grandmother doing? What was her mother doing? We were, you know, because it fascinates me that when your grandmother was pregnant with your mother, that your mother had all the eggs she would ever produce. So 50% of you was in your mother, inside your grandmother. So there's that whole line, and you know the females are so intuitive. And when we're pregnant, it heightens our intuitivity even more, and having little ones, you know, it just really
So
tunes it on.
there's like because I was the egg inside my mother, inside my grandmother, there's a connection.
Yeah,
There's a DNA connection. There's a physical connection.
absolutely. And so whatever your grandmother, so 2 generations ago, whatever your grandmother was feeling and experiencing in her pregnancy with your mum, you have received that as well.
Yeah, right. Wow.
So Juliet and Bryn feel received from you, from your biological mum.
Yeah.
Amazing, eh?
And I think that's so important because as somebody who was adopted, I've always, like, even when because I didn't find out that I was adopted till I was 26,
Wow.
but even before then, I knew there was something. I knew
There you go.
there was, I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something. And then when I found out what it was, there was this aha, that's what it is moment. And so, which was my intuition even as a child, because you know there were energies around that you just, like, I remember thinking to myself when there were conversations being had, there was an energy of Claudia can't hear this, like, let's go in the other room, and
Yeah.
things like there were, you know, there were things I remember as I have early memories of things.
And so you were entrained to not trust that intuition, because you weren't told till you were 26 that you were adopted. So your body was trying to entrain you to no, I'm here. If being in a family system is one of the things that as human beings we thrive. You know, that's like the ultimate, to belong to a tribe, to belong to our family system. So you didn't consciously, you didn't know that you were adopted, but unconsciously you did. So there was this whole, well, I'm going to, you know, I'm not going to listen to my unconscious, because what the world is telling me is that I belong in this family, right?
That's another layer.
Yeah.
That's another layer of it. So coupled with the DNA side of things, and then the 3D side of things
Yeah.
coming together. No wonder I don't listen to it.
Maybe it's time to bow to yourself
Yeah.
and just let go of the, you know, of that, so that you can step into the new.
Yeah, well, now that I'm aware of it, because
Yeah.
like this conversation has kind of put the dots together, you
Yeah.
know, and it's created the awareness. So now that I'm aware of it, I can, you know, knowing that it's coming from this place, I
Yeah.
can move that out of the way now and move forward in a more, like that I'm choosing a conscious way of moving forward through those feelings now.
Mm.
Yeah, beautiful.
Fantastic.
That was amazing.
Just,
You
yeah,
just asked the
fantastic.
right questions. Was that your
Yeah,
intuition?
I have a knack for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say the wrong things.
Yeah,
Well, it's
right.
not. It's never the wrong thing, but sometimes I'll say things and I think, oh, why did I say that? Because that really irked someone, and it's just like it's just come completely out of my mouth, and then you know, over time it will show up that, oh, that was the right thing to say because it was what they needed to hear. Blah blah blah. That's a little bit different to intuition, but it was just flowing with what's there and being available for the person to
Yeah.
receive as well.
I have
Mm.
that habit
Of
of
triggering
just
people.
blurting out
Yeah.
things, and yeah, and then it keeps me up at night. I can't. I just cringe. I can't. Like the other day at work. Oh, there's so many things at work that I say, and it's like, what are you talking about? So that's something I'm working on.
Does it trigger people?
It's yeah. It triggers me because I'm saying things that I don't believe, and also the things that I'm saying aren't very nice. So because we're very like we tease each other a lot at work, but
You get right in.
I do.
Really?
I do, and I don't mean to. It's like something. I think because I'm just so used to like flowing with the energies around me. It's such a safe thing usually. Like the people that I usually surround myself with, I always we feed off each other's energies and
Mm.
we kind of get to the same level, but it's never a negative thing. Like it's always a positive thing, and we're always using it for joy and for laughter and stuff. And so I'm just used to matching other people's energy. But at work, people are really like mean to each other in a loving ish way. Like it's not actually being mean, but we do tease each other and stuff. And then there's things that I say, it's like I didn't really want to say that, to be honest. So yeah, sorry, random subject change, but just as you were speaking, I'm like, I do that too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you get yourself in trouble? Do people like?
No, because everyone's no.
Yeah, it's you that's
Yeah.
doing
it's,
the.
it's
Oh my god! Why did I say that?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So there's times where it does serve a purpose, and later on I'm like, oh, it's probably a good thing that I said that.
Mm.
But yeah, most of the time that's not me. I don't need to say that. Yeah.
Sometimes the stuff just comes out, but in so when we're in, like, if I give the example of constellation work, you resonate for someone else, which is what happens sometimes when we're in conversation with people, and we're resonating in a space for them, and we don't. If you're not aware of it, it can catch you, and you actually so you're saying things, and you think, "What the fuck did I just say that?" And then you've triggered them, and you've gone and retracted in yourself. But it's actually that was perfect for them to hear that as they process it, you know. But at the time, it's like, ooh, that was a bit sharp. And so when you're resonating for someone else, you're holding space for whatever it is that they need to hear or see or feel or receive.
Yeah.
So just being conscious in that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I wonder who I was representing, or what was I representing for that person. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just Juliet now. It's
Yeah.
okay. I can let that go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think fears or wounds that I'm working on is triggering other people or hurting other people's feelings. Like, I don't know what it is, but I am so afraid to trigger someone. Like, and anytime that it happens, it's like I can't function as a human being. And yeah, so when I'm at work, people are saying mean things to me because that's the energy that everyone's holding, and it's a joke, and I laugh, but it does twang something, and then it twangs, and you know how I will let something build up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to say something right away.
She's so sensitive.
I'm going to let it build up because I know that what they're saying isn't they're not intending for me to actually feel this way. So it's just like, but I'm feeling it, whether they mean for me to or not, I'm feeling it. And so it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then eventually I explode. And then I end up hurting myself anyway, because there I am that night, and 10 nights after that, going to sleep, thinking about what I said, and just going, oh, why did you say that? So I end up hurting myself anyways. Yeah, so maybe one thing actually that's been coming to my consciousness is like changing, like holding my own frequency and just not being in their little pool of
not engaging in it.
Not engaging, and just like being in my own bubble, and just because it's not fun for me. Like, for them it's fun to tease each other, like they're very much in that. I feel like it's a big thing in Australia too. They're very much in that like culture of like, oh, it's fun to tease each other, and it is sometimes. We tease each other, but we're loving.
Yes.
What they say is actually true. And they tease you for it. And so yeah, I don't know, it's just, if I hold my own frequency in that place, hold my own space, and don't feed into their, I think that's going to help me a lot. Because, yeah, there have been a few things where it's really, that's not me, that doesn't fit right with who I am as a person. And I genuinely worry if I've hurt their feelings because of my fear of triggering other people or hurting other people. So
Is it because you think they're not going to like you anymore? Is that why?
No, it's because I don't want them to feel hurt.
Oh.
Like, yeah, it's got nothing to do with oh, they're not going to be my friend. It's like, oh, I don't want them actually believing what I'm saying. Yeah. Because what I'm saying I know isn't true, what I'm saying, but
if it triggers them, it obviously is.
For them, yeah, but I don't.
Which is what you're experiencing, isn't it? Because what they're saying, for them it might not be true, but for you it feels true.
Yeah.
So one of the things in Access Conscious, they say, well, that's an interesting point of view. So when someone says something to you, or you have a thought that is misaligned, you can say, if you said to yourself, well, that's an interesting point of view, it's almost like okay, well, they can, how do I describe that? It's like it's not a delete button, but it puts it into another space of, okay, I can contemplate that in a different way. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. It's an interesting point of view. It's not my point of view. I don't have to believe it.
Yes.
They can believe it. I don't have to believe it. It's an interesting point of view. And then it takes the sting out of it. Yeah, it takes a bit of the sting out.
Yeah, it kind of puts it in a holding tank where it's like, I'm not going to receive it yet. I'm just going to let it sit there and I'll observe it, and then I'll decide how I feel about it. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Definitely. Because that's one thing that's felt really misaligned in my life is how I am at work, with the version of myself that I'm stepping into in every other aspect of my life. I'm growing into another person than I am at work. And And at work, I'm starting to like literally one of my thoughts as we're talking is maybe it's time for me to start fresh, start somewhere else because
But also, you could think of them as beautiful angels who are teaching you how you
oh
don't
yeah,
want to be.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
I love them.
Yeah.
Like I honestly I've found so much joy in my workplace. It's felt like a family. But as we're talking, I'm feeling like
It's time to
maybe
move
I've
on.
learnt the lesson, and maybe I
mm,
don't have to be
mm.
there. You know,
Mm.
maybe it's time for me to go on to a new lesson, or maybe you know, I don't know, just move on from that because
That's your intuition.
yeah, because I can't imagine now that I've learnt that, now that I've received that, I can't imagine there's much more for me in that place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Change, and
no,
that
I
might
don't think they
just
are
dig a
going
bit
to.
deeper. And you don't. It's not your job to change them anyway. But just
Yeah,
I mean, you could come back with kindness and see what happens, and that would be an interesting experiment. What happens if I throw back kindness instead of a bucket load of insults?
yeah, that's a good one.
Tracy, you're on a roll today.
Oh,
You're just giving
and
the gifts.
I've got work.
Giving the gifts.
I've got work tonight. Oh, I'm gonna use that when they say something mean. I'll be like, oh, your eyes are so pretty, or something. You know, I'll just say, oh, you know, something kind like that. Yeah, I'll because they would laugh. They would laugh at that. Yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna do that, and I love that feeling too.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
I
remember
think
this
that
lady.
takes so much presence and strength
Yeah.
in the moment when you're on a roll with them and the energy is like that jokester kind of like whisk you away on the raft of
Mm,
the rapids of being mean and joking
yeah.
around and
How mean can I get?
yeah, that energy
Mm,
it takes so much presence and consciousness
Mm.
to stop it and say something
mm.
nice, you know, to have the presence of mind to be able to do that. That's a huge tool in your toolbox of life.
It's a bigger muscle to work, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like smiling takes more muscles than frowning.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
mm,
100%.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that. If you could do that, because I'm still struggling with stuff like that. In the moment, if somebody says something that I'm triggered by, I kind of become a stunned mullet, and I'm kind of like in the feelings of it, and then the situation, it's like I'm removed from the situation, and I become all just a
mm,
jellyfish of feelings.
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
So to be able to step through that into kindness is massive.
Yeah. No, I get that because I think it's so, especially for like for women, one, and then
Mm,
also people who are women and also in tune with their soul and their spirit and their intuition. It takes a lot to um, like take on those words because for me at work it was right at my trial shift, right at my from my first ever shift. There was no time to process. Oh, I'm not okay with this because it was just I needed a job. I liked the workplace as a whole. I liked
yeah.
the workplace. It was beautiful, one of the best workplaces I've worked in, to be honest. So I didn't have time to process. Oh, I'm actually not okay with how everyone's joking around like this because it was just the way it was and it went with everything else and I was happy in the workplace, so whatever. And then after so long, like after a while, it was just like,
You had time to think about it.
Mm.
well, almost no. Like, it almost no because it would be constant. Like, it's constant there. And,
Change. If you're changing it now and coming in with this being nice, you're going to come across some resistance.
Yeah.
I'm mindful of that. Yeah.
yeah.
Their narrative. and that's the way they want to. They continue to roll, and maybe they want to change, but they don't know how to change either. So it might be that if you choose to stay, then really actually and grounding yourself before you go in, before you go to work. Do your power stance. Do you know the power stance?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's when,
Love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's when your
And-
legs like hit with your chest is out,
Yeah.
right?
And the palms of your hand are forward. So when you go out like that, the palms of your hands naturally go forward. It's almost like a projection. Yeah. Boobs up. And then you can just really empower yourself before you go in. You're not going to walk in like like that, but you're going to feel empowered so that when you go in, you've got that resource to back you. Mm.
Yeah,
Awesome, Jay.
okay. Yeah, I needed to talk about this because it had been
Yeah.
something I was holding in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, you've sorted my thing out, and you sorted her thing out.
Yeah, want to come on the podcast again?
Sweet. Regular slot with Auntie Tracy.
We wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
Anything's possible, guys. Anything's possible.
Well, look what happens when you follow your intuition. Like
Mm.
the conversation has led to this place.
Oh, also, I chose the title intuitively, so there you go. And it led to this.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this back. Definitely.
Yep.
I'm gonna give it a few days. I'm gonna process in the time, in real time, and I'm gonna go back and watch it again.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's tomorrow online. There's a free World Constellation Day. Free
Oh.
for everyone, and it's like goes for 24 hours. Starts at I should know because I'm on. What time am I on? I'm on at 12:30. So it goes 1. Starts at 1. So that's 11 for you guys.
Yeah.
And there might be something in that is helpful.
Yeah.
Definitely. And if you send us the link, we
Yeah.
can post it on Witch Witch too if you like.
Or
Yeah,
you can
cool.
just post it in the comments under this video if you want.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. You just sign up and it's I mean, you can do a thing where you buy the recordings for 3 months, but if you've got the time and you're available, jump it on and off throughout the day to the different ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. I think I'm on at 12:30, which is 10:30 for you guys.
Oh, yeah, 10 for yeah. Yeah, we're
No,
yeah,
did I say 12:30? What time am I? I'll figure it out. It'll be on the thing in it. It's the time difference because they're putting it up
yeah,
at London time, Central Eastern Standard Time, and so I'm trying to convert it and then tell you guys the time difference. So that's
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
I feel complete.
Yeah.
Do you feel complete?
Yes, thank you.
It's so good to talk to you two again.
Yes.
Yes.
From our
Yeah.
daily check-ins to
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Beautiful talk.
Made it all the sweeter.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, and thank you, Juliet, for following your intuition.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Mm.
helping us speaking, just talking.
Yeah.
We received
Yeah.
so much, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I feel so full. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next week, everyone.
Yeah.